Welcome to Complete Edition, a podcast between a PlayStation Trophy Hunter and an Xbox Achievement Hunter. This is episode 15. I'm your host, Compulsive Nerd, and I'm joined by AJ, the Halo-loving player. What's up, dude?
I'm doing well. You caught me by surprise with that introduction.
Dude, I seen you playing Infinite, and I have been playing a lot of Halo, so I definitely am ready to get into it. But I just wanted to mention, like, the Game Awards. The Game Award nominees were announced this week on Tuesday, or last week on Tuesday, and I was fucking ready, dude. I was in between classes, and I had my journal, and I like wrote down all of the shit. But then also, not only on so Tuesday, the nominees are announced, and this is my favorite fucking thing, and I don't know how it works out so well, but it does. The Friday of the Tuesday that the nominees were announced, Black Friday for digital sales happened. So Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, probably Epic. I didn't look at Epic. They all had like Black Friday sales, and I picked up 5 games. I picked up Psychonauts 1 and 2. I picked up Guardians of the Galaxy. I picked up Tales of Arise, Weeb game, shout out. And then I picked up Deathloop. And it wasn't like a huge bill. I mean, it was pretty big, but it was like, I got a lot of games that are nominated for Game of the Year, and I'm super fucking pumped. Like, I will be playing those after I play the Halo games, but like, damn, dude, I picked up so many games. Did you pick up anything this Friday?
Yeah, I was gonna say I've not committed on it fully yet because the sale goes on at least on Xbox until December 2nd. So I've got like a basket that I'm building up and I'm like deciding on what I want to pull the trigger on. Right now in my basket, it's 5 items. It's £137.
Whoa.
Which is a lot. I mean, I've got Dying Light Platinum Edition, Immortals Phoenix Rising Gold Edition, Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania Digital Deluxe Edition, Little Nightmares 2, and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. So that's what I've got, and I'm like, do I want all of these? Do I want some of these? But these are like the ones that I'm like, these are gaps, and I want to fill in these gaps. And I'm like, is now the time or not? So I'm still sort of ruminating on it all.
I don't know how it compares, but I spent $132 USD, and that is very close to your 137, but it's like, it's not bad. I got 5 fucking games, and they are all like AAA, and usually what I do is I'm game sharing with someone, so he gets access to my games, but he doesn't like all the games that I buy. So what he'll do is he'll play them, and then he'll decide, hey, I'll go half on this game because I enjoy it. So that's kind of where we are.
Yeah, I've got a friend who does that with another friend. And no one's done it with me, even though it's possible. And it's kind of surprising, you know.
Dude, you could save so much money. It's awesome. It's awesome. But it also, there's positives and negatives to that. Because, one person on their account gets the game and the other person does not. But you both get to play a game for half the price, which is the trade-off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to as well. I wanted to get Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Because that's on sale. But I noticed, and I think I've talked about this before, Ubisoft does this as well. I think they're doing it with Riders Republic as well. But it annoys me when the US gets like way better regional pricing. Like Guardians of the Galaxy's on sale at some places in the US for $30.
Yep.
But in the UK, it's like £40 on the digital Xbox store. So I'm just like, no, like I'll wait until they do a better sale over here. Or, I mean, I guess I could. You're not allowed to. It breaks terms of service and you shouldn't do it. You can change the region of your Xbox console and get better deals, but that will get you banned if you do that. So I wouldn't do that. But in terms of the games, like the physical games, I don't think they're region locked. So, maybe I could go on like US Amazon and see if I could get it for cheaper even with the shipping fees. But I don't know how that would work out. But yeah, I'm just sort of like, I'm interested in this game, but I'm going to wait because I think Square Enix, they're holding out on UK sales for a while.
Yeah, I still have some games that I'm waiting for bigger sales because I added... So Far Cry is on sale, Far Cry 6, and we wanted to kind of do a spoiler cast at some point in the future, but the gold edition is still $66, and I want it to be below $60. And I thought to myself, I just purchased these 5 other games. I can wait, because with Ubisoft, the more time that lapses, the more sales and the bigger sales that happen. So I'll just play these 5 games that I got, and then by the time those are through, then I will be right on the edge to get that next Ubisoft sale. But
yeah, I was going to say as well, the reason like one of the reasons I haven't gone ahead with this purchase is because there's so many games right now that I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't, like, my backlog is already getting bigger without buying anything. Like, right, like I'm done with, I'll talk about what I've been playing later, but I'm done with Call of Duty now. Basically, like that's over, which is great. Halo just came out, the multiplayer, so it's not like I got rid of my multiplayer game. It's just I'm like straight into another one. And then Forza came out as well. Your Halo campaign's coming out in like 2 weeks. Then It Takes Two came to Game Pass. Also get we mentioned the Game Awards. That's a Game of the Year nominee, and I've got a friend I'm planning on playing that with. Then there's Psychonauts 2, which I haven't completed. So again, another Game of the Year nominee. The Forgotten City got added to Game Pass as well, and that game, people love the story of that game, and it's based on like this Skyrim mod that got made into a full game and has really, really strong writing apparently. So it's like I want to check that out. And then there's stuff being added to Game Pass all the time as well, and I can play Battlefield 2042 for 10 hours. I've not checked that out yet, although maybe I want to wait for some patches on that. But yeah, there's just so much stuff that I'm like, and this is without me buying anything in the sale. So I'm kind of like, do I really have time to even like try all of these games? So it's tough. I mean, I want to definitely. I'm definitely going to pick some stuff up, but I think I'm going to be strategic about when there's like a window and what the window should be for specifically. Like I think Little Nightmares 2 is a game that I'm like, yeah, I think that's going to be one that I definitely buy because I really enjoyed the first one and they're not that long as well. And it's not that expensive. And I've heard it's pretty good. So it's like that seems like the best positioned one right now.
Yeah, and I'm like right there with you with that game. I played it earlier this year. I got it at launch because I've just been I love Little Nightmares. I haven't been a huge fan, but I mean I played the first one like right before it launched, and then right after it launched, I jumped into the second one, and it was just like a good back to back, so I understood the story a lot more. But like it's really exciting that you're gonna play that game, and it's kind of a smaller indie game. And the reason that I was kind of wanting to talk right here is because I was thinking the same thing for Death's Door on PlayStation. Is like I also wanted to add that to my cart. It's not on sale though. It's not even out yet. I think there's like 2 more days, maybe something like that. It launches very soon, like maybe this Tuesday, which is tomorrow. But it's $20. It's super cheap, and it's another Game of the Year nominee for different categories, not the top category, but different ones. And that always catches my eye, which is why I love it so much. I go and I look at every category. But what I want to say also is that with the games that I bought, I did buy a lot, and I get so excited. And that's like, I saw the Black Friday sale and I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I can hold out on a couple things, but there's like, if there's something that I want to play before the Game of the Year awards, then I have to get them right then on that sale. And I think the first 2 that I'm going to run into, well, first 3, I'm actually going to go ahead and go. Are you done with some of your sales stuff?
Yeah, I think that's everything in terms of
Okay.
sales.
Then I think I'm going to run right into what I'm playing, but like as soon as I finish all of the Halo games up to past 5, like I'm just going to finish all of them, and then I'm going to jump back over to PlayStation and probably play Psychonauts 1 and 2 because that is a Game of the Year nomination, top nomination, and then Guardians of the Galaxy because that was nominated in Best Narrative. So that knocks out 2 of the best narratives. So we got Life is Strange that I played, and then it would be Guardians of the Galaxy and Psychonauts, and I love narrative games, as you know. So those 2 games, those like are right at the top of my list. But for right now, dude, this week I finished Halo 2, I finished Halo 3, I finished ODST, and then I went right into Reach 2 nights ago with my friends. And dude, what the hell is with the game? Like, why is the Master Chief Collection so broken? Like, the netcode is completely fucked. I like wanted to play co-op with my friends, and it was so laggy. And it's like, we all have good internet. I don't understand why it was like that. And it was the same thing when I played Halo 2 with my friend, except I had a poor internet connection at that time. So I thought, oh, hey, it's just me. It's just my internet. But it wasn't. It's like the game is totally unplayable with friends. And that sucks because I was not able to get into Reach. Like for the first mission, I was like, I just am not into this yet, which I'm sure it'll grab me. Some Halo games do that. And I actually want to talk about each experience. But like, I just couldn't get into Reach, and I was like, this is a game that's about a squad, so it would be so much better to play with your friends because it's about your squad, and it's so awesome. But I mean, there's positives and negatives to that because I'm 3 missions in now, or 4, and it's like I'm dicking around with my friends. We're shooting each other, we're killing each other, and then we're also like playing through the story, and I'm just like, I'm not paying attention very much, and I want to. So it's like now that we're not probably going to play together because the netcode is just too wacky. I'll be able to pay a lot more attention, but it just sucks because I want my squad to be there. But I'll get attached to the characters because here's what I've been feeling. So I liked 2. Okay, here's my ranking. ODST is my favorite. It was very expansive on the Halo universe. I love how the game takes place after the explosion that happens in 2, or the light rift or whatever happens, is like they jump to light speed and then there's like a huge explosion on Earth, and then it's like that's just left in the dark until after 3. And I thought that was super fucking cool. I was like, this is awesome. And then not only that, but it's like it's about a squad on Earth protecting Earth cities, and I'm just like, this is so fucking cool. And I got like attached to the different characters, and I was having fun with the gameplay. It was the very first time I think they added health. So in the up to that point, there was no health in Halo 1, 2, or 3.
It's
and
not
then
true.
Not true?
No.
What do you mean?
Halo Combat Evolved had health.
Oh, what? Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember picking up health packs.
It does. 100% does.
Damn, I don't remember that. That's crazy. But so ODST is my favorite, and then it goes Halo 2, and then Halo 3, and then CE. I think CE is going to be the last, just out of all the games. Maybe 5 will probably be worse, but I don't know. And
that's going to upset so many people that you said
It
you just
is.
said maybe 5 is going to be, because 5 is like, I mean, you know, there's two problems. Is that, I guess the first thing is 5 is like unanimously considered the worst, and then the first one is considered by a lot of people to be the best. So it's like
and 3 is considered to be the best too.
Yeah, it's 3 and CE, but I think 3 is the best Halo overall. But I think it's the best in terms of how it is as a package, in terms of Forge and custom games and multiplayer.
See, exactly. And that's where I think that 3 is lower than 2 for me, because 3 is extremely frustrating with the story. It's like you literally are chasing the truth the whole game, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, I'm so bored. Like, how can this whole game be a chase sequence? And then the end is like huge climax. It's super exciting. I was so into the story. I loved Sergeant Johnson's was my favorite character, and then behind him was, I forgot his name. It's the alien creature that Master Chief has like an alliance with. What's his name? The Arbiter, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking love the Arbiter. And then Master Chief is probably my third favorite.
It's played by Keith David as well.
Well, it's fucking awesome, dude. Amazing characters. I love the captain. I don't remember her name, and her dad too from Halo 1.
Captain Keyes and Miranda Keyes, I think.
Yes,
the names.
The Keys. Man, so good at ending with the story of 3, but I hated how long it took to get to the truth. It just was a long time for me, and I was like, this game is definitely focused on gameplay over narrative, just because there's so much. But it doesn't change that it's still fun gameplay. It's really, really phenomenal gameplay. And so 2 was more, it had better pacing, in my opinion. So I like 2 more than 3, and that's where it goes. ODST 2, 3, and then 1. And Reach on the bottom right now, probably. It's got to climb. Because it's just taking a while to get into, and I'm sure it will.
Reach is a very controversial entry into the Halo series in terms of like what Halo fans typically think. Even back in the day, like I really liked it at the time, but I think looking back now, I don't like it very much. Like a lot of, you know, people talk about that Halo went in the wrong direction with 343, right? You know, like once Bungie left.
Yeah.
And Bungie's last game was Reach, but a lot of the stuff in Halo 4 is like a continuation of Halo Reach. So it's essentially like Bungie sort of sowed the seeds that 343 would sort of follow, and then that turned out to be a mistake. So it's kind of like they hold some level of responsibility for it, you know, because Reach had stuff like loadouts, and it had Bloom with the weapons as well, where they're like not accurate 100% of the time and stuff like that. So it sort of, I don't know, it moved the series sort of away from traditional Halo gameplay, and some people liked that at the time, and some people were like, oh, that's kind of rough, I don't like the direction it's going, and then it went even further in that direction, and then people were like, no, this kind of sucks. So yeah, Reach it's a weird game in terms of that. Like, there's a lot of different perspectives on its part in the series, and whether it sort of stands up to the test of time or stands up in its own right.
Right, and that's so weird because, you know, I've been talking to a lot of different people about Halo because that's all I've been playing, and it's like Well, it's not all I've been playing. I actually, before I started and finished 2, it needed an update. Dude, that game is constantly getting bigger. I'm like ready to beat it just because I want to delete it, not because I'm tired of the games. It's like
Yeah,
it is constantly getting updated.
you can only have installed like the different parts of it. Like you can choose which parts you want installed.
Right. I did find out that's pretty rad. That's a really rad feature.
Yeah, it's like every campaign and multiplayer is like a separate that you can like untick it and like delete different parts if you don't care about any of the multiplayers, or if if you're done with some of the campaigns. So that makes it more manageable.
Right. But I need to do that because I haven't done it. But while I was waiting, I played River City Girls and I got pretty far. I think I beat like 2 or 3 bosses, and I think I'm gonna keep my eye on sales for that on PlayStation because I want the trophies. Like I want to platinum that game. It's very fun for me. I looked up a guide. It's like 7 hours, and I love beat 'em ups. I grew up with Turtles in Time on Super Nintendo, which is like one of my first beat 'em ups, and I used to play it with my brother and my sister. But I also played a Power Rangers beat 'em up that was also really awesome. I don't remember the name of it, but I probably have the old Super Nintendo cartridge over there. And then like that was just a short little thing that I was doing between the update. I don't know why it was taking so long. But back to Halo. I heard people saying that Reach, some people that I talked to, because like I said, I was talking to a lot of different people because a lot of my friends played Xbox back in high school and things like that. And, one of my friends was like, ODST's my favorite. And his brother was like, Reach is my favorite. And it just kind of got some range between like the favorite Halo games, and it's just like uncommon for people to say that they like ODST or Reach like more than 3 or Combat Evolved.
Yeah, I think Halo does a good job, at least until 4 and 5, of like each game being someone else's favorite. Like they all have quite a distinct identity to them, and they all sort of do what's very unusual about it in terms of that they're the same developer is they sort of all have a different tone, and they all do different things well, I'd say, to some extent, even though there's like a continuity between the games. So I feel like you do often see people have like really, really varied opinions on the game. On the games. I think the most common sentiment is that everything sort of came together for Halo 3, and that was like the peak of the series. But yeah, it's I know people who love ODST, who love Reach, who love 1, who love 2, who love 3. It's and I think all of those, like, I mean, obviously it's subjective, so every opinion is valid, but I think people make decent arguments for each game. Like, I think you can really make a compelling case for any of them, and I feel like you don't see that with very many game series or film series or just series in general.
I agree with that, and I think that's really, really dope, because every time I talk about it in Discord, it just lights up the chat, and it's so cool that I'm finally being able to catch up on all of these. But it just felt like a very, very productive gaming week, even though I haven't 100%ed any of the Halo games, and I don't plan to. But we're going to talk about some of that stuff later because I have a lot to say. But yeah, so that was also, I wanted to mention that Halo ODST, I believe, yeah, the last one that I completed, was my 35th completed game, as in to credits. I'd have to count my platinums, but I'm going to guess it's around like 28. But I've completed 35 games in 2021, and I'm not stopping. So Reach and 4 and Halo 5 are next. And then I'll probably jump back over, and that's whenever I'll start Psychonauts 1 on PlayStation. But that will be my next week. So what have you been playing?
Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying your time with the Halo games, because I know we don't have to go over it again, but obviously I love Halo Combat Evolved, and you didn't like that, and that was, you were going back to Halo for the first time. So it's like a lot of people, and like me, it's like when you don't like Combat Evolved, it's like, oh no, you're going to hate the whole series. But then you really enjoyed 2, and you've enjoyed the rest of them. So that's been cool to see. Other than some issues with Reach, I wanted to say as well, in terms of just quickly the server issues. I had server issues at MCC's launch, but I haven't had them since. So I wonder if it's like, I don't know, stuff in preparation for Infinite, and 343 just sort of putting all their attention on the new game that's kind of made it sort of a bad time to play it with friends, perhaps.
It could be that, but I wanted to say, dude, I miss the incredible CGI that they had for Halo 2. Like, I was like, oh, I wish they kind of would have stuck with the CGI cutscenes. They're freaking fun to watch. They had to have been expensive, but damn, that was really fun. That's why I liked Halo 2. I started to get so into Halo 2 because I was like into these characters and their weird one-liners, and like just the whole aesthetic of 2 was really, really fun, which is why I put it over 3. But man, 3 was jarring because it's like the character models are not quite there yet, but they did all the cutscenes, and there was no like I've been paying attention to it, and I think Halo Reach is the very first game that they used mocap on, because like you can definitely tell it was like hand animated when they're walking, and like they go upstairs. I'm just like, oh, you can. They're so stiff, but that's just products of an old game, and it's nothing that I'm ever gonna like charge against them, because I still enjoyed Halo 3 and Halo 2, and it's very fun. But I just was keeping my eye out, like, ooh, I wonder which game they're gonna start using mocap, because that was like a big shift in the industry, and Reach is definitely the one.
Yeah, when Halo 2, like when MCC came out, it was the 10th anniversary of Halo 2, or around there. So they did like Halo 2 Anniversary Edition. And so that's where all the remastered cutscenes and the remastered graphics come from. And it does look really good. I think what they did for that game, like they changed some stuff, but they retained like the spirit and the visual design of the original like Halo 2, which I think is quite hard to do. You know, like Bluepoint are really fantastic at it as well, but it's surprisingly difficult. Where like if you're going to remaster something and actually go in and change stuff, and it's not just like an upres or whatever, then you know you can really quite easily remove or like replace some of the original design and the feelings that you get from looking at the original. And it's a really fine line to sort of to stay on, and I think they nailed it with the Halo 2 Anniversary graphics, because they didn't really do a great job of it with Halo CE's Anniversary graphics, in my opinion, and some others. Like it looks better in some ways, and then it looks worse in others, so it's like a mixed bag. Whereas Halo 2's, it felt like everything was an improvement. So but then yeah, like you say, it's weird, because then you go to Halo 3, and Halo 3 didn't really have much work done on it. You know, they need to kind of do a remaster of that game now, and then they've done the original trilogy, and then it will sort of all be filled out.
There was one mission in Halo 3 that I could not stand. I was like feeling nauseous, and I was like ready, and it kind of spoilery. I don't know if I should talk about it. It's near
Is it
the
the
end.
Cortana mission?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone hates that mission. That mission sucks.
I hate it so much, dude. I was so ready for it to be over. It was so
you can't like move, because it like you keep getting like voices in your head. I mean, it's Halo 3 like spoilers here, but you keep getting like voices in your head from like Gravemind, and then he's shouting at you, and then Cortana starts shouting at you, and the FOV like zooms out and it shakes your screen, and you can't move, and it's really, really annoying, and it just keeps happening over and over again.
Oh man, it was so bad. I was like, God. And then there's like, it's just gross all over, and I'm just like, God, I hate this.
I really don't like the flood in Halo 3 either. Like the ones those guys that like cling to the walls, and they take like a million shots to like.
What about the gunners? Yeah, the things that like morph into like giant
yeah
monsters, and then they morph down into like a machine gun. I'm like, what the fuck are these things?
Yeah, it annoys me, because in Halo CE especially, all the flood enemy types, you can kill them in like one shot with a magnum if you know where to shoot. And I thought that was really cool, because it kind of reminded me of like zombies, you know, because they're inspired by that type of, you know, thing, you know, this infection, and, you know, infected human corpses. And it was cool, because it's almost like, you know, shooting them in the head and they go down, right? Whereas if you shoot them in other places, they tend to be bullet sponges. And so I thought that was really cool. But there's some in Halo 3 where they're just bullet sponges no matter what, basically, which kind of sucks, because it kind of ruins what made the original design so amazing. But I love Halo 3 anyway, but it's like little things like that sometimes you sort of like, I think the flood could have been handled better in that game. And then that Cortana mission just sucks as well, so it kind of adds to it.
I kind of wanted to ask you, do you think that Halo should be played more like Doom, or that it has like its own style? Because what I've been doing is I've been hanging back and like being in cover and like dipping out. Like if I need a new weapon because I'm running out of ammo, then I have to like maneuver through cover and like get something new, and then like kind of like fall back. I kind of try to stay ranged. I don't really get up close, but I do want to disclose, I did play half of 2 on normal, and then I was told in the Discord they're meant to be played on heroic. So from the middle of 2 on, I switched to heroic, and it's much harder and more fun. And I found that 2 was probably the hardest on heroic.
Yeah, 2's way harder than the others. It's stupid. It's kind of a annoying design in terms of the missions as well. They don't get progressively harder. There's like a bursts of missions where they're just like really, really difficult. But
yep.
Yeah, heroic's the way to go. In terms of gameplay pacing, it is its own thing. In Halo games, you're meant to as well, like, all the weapons in the sandbox are really interesting. Like, they're not. The weapons all have. I've spoken about it before, but the weapons have their own unique identity and their own use cases. It's not like, oh, there's an assault rifle and then there's another assault rifle and then there's another. Like, they all function slightly differently and you won't use them in the same ways. And so what they tend to do is make it so through a mission you have to swap weapons multiple times and sort of get used to doing that in the flow of gameplay. Whereas in Doom, like, obviously you have like all of your weapons available at once in terms of the weapon wheel. In terms of like when to push up and when to stay back, it depends on the encounter. With stuff with the Flood, they will keep spawning them for a long time, so it can be better to just make like a mad dash for it sometimes. For other encounters, like, it just depends on if you understand like the level design to some extent. Like it helps when you replay the game if you know, like, oh, I'm going to run into an area where I'm just going to be totally screwed if I run past these guys because there's going to be an even bigger spawn or like an enemy wraith or something up ahead. But in terms of, yeah, it's sort of in between like a Call of Duty and a Doom, because you've got really good survivability, but you do need to get behind cover to actually recharge your shields. You can't just sort of keep running at the enemies forever. So it's kind of got its own unique gameplay pacing that is sort of in between those two types of shooter that works really well for it.
Dude, something I want to mention, two things. I was called an Xbot in our in the Discord, and I thought that is awesome because I've never been called an Xbot before, and now I've been called a Sony Pony and an Xbot. I feel so proud, dude. I was so proud that day. But I'm not used to playing so much Xbox, but I'm loving it. And like I said, I was playing on Heroic, and I was going through all the games, and my friends had joined me for Reach. And I was like, I'm going to be so much better than you guys. And they're like, whatever, we've been playing infinite multiplayer. We're going to fucking crush out here. And they're running around, and I'm just watching them die over and over. And I'm like, dude, you guys are so fucking hilarious. Like, this is Heroic. You guys should be hanging back with me. We should be squad moving up like slowly, not fucking out there just like they're picking up different weapons and like doing exactly what you said, where you have to use different weapons, but they're not using them properly. Like, you know, if there's like brutes or whatever, like that are bigger, you want to definitely like grab the needler and get them out of the way quickly and then put that needler down, because needlers are such a waste of time for the small guys because you're just wasting ammo and like it takes a long time and you could just pop them right in the head and they're fucking done. But like I'm just like, man, our playstyles are so different because they've been playing Halo Infinite and I've been playing all the campaigns on Heroic, and I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, you definitely play multiplayer completely differently to how you play single player as well, in terms, or rather multiplayer versus campaign co-op. But yeah, in terms of the stuff that I've been playing, we'll go back to Halo because I've been playing Halo Infinite. But to continue from where I left off last time we spoke, I played some more Forza Horizon 5. I need to get back to it, but there's just been like so many releases and some life stuff that I've not had too much time with it since we last spoke. But I still think all the things I thought last time, and I just need to get more of it played. I also played so we kind of mentioned with Halo, you know, the remastering efforts of Halo CE and Halo 2, and how you can ruin the design potentially or mess with the design. And it's kind of coincidental, but I've been playing the GTA remastered trilogy, and I've been playing the Vice City remaster. And so I want to say, first of all, Vice City was the first GTA game I played, and I fell in love with it back then. I think it's my favorite Grand Theft Auto, and I've not been back to it in a very, very long time, so I had to get the remaster, like, even with all the bad reviews and everyone saying, you know, it sucks and all that. So I also got to, as well, play the game to make a collectible guide for Maka, so that's up on his channel now. It's for all the 100 hidden packages. I don't know if I've ever made a collectible guide such a big collectible guide before, but it's been awesome to work on that.
How long did that take you?
It took me about 5 or 6 hours, I'd say. It's some of the collectibles in that game. So the good news is all the collectibles are in the same place they were in the original game, which is great because it means there's already like text guides and video guides that exist from, like, you know, the early 2000s essentially. But then some of them are annoying because there's the hidden packages. There's a few, probably about, I don't know, 20 or 30 of the 100, where you can get to them by doing like stunt jumps and stuff, or the better way is to just get a helicopter and go to them. And I think there's a couple where you can only get to them via helicopter. So it was kind of annoying where it's like you'd look at a guide and it's like, oh, the hidden package is here, but then can I even get to it without a helicopter? And you can't get a helicopter without unlocking the second island. Well, you can break out of bounds and get to the second island, but I just waited until I unlocked the second island. So before I could even like get started on the guide properly, I had to get to a certain point in the main story where you unlock the second island. And then there was also, so you can also get a helicopter via cheats, I think, but in these remasters, the cheats disable all the achievements and trophies. So it's really not an option, and it would be very pointless if I did a collectible guide that's like, oh, here's how you get the packages for the achievement to get all the packages, and then I'm like, just use the cheat, and then you can't get the achievement. Like, it wouldn't be a very productive way of showing it. But helicopters are pretty easy to get, which is good once you get the second island. There's like a news station right by the bridge to the second island, and there's just a helicopter that constantly respawns there. There's also an apartment you can buy that comes with a helicopter. So there's a few options to get one, which is nice. And it's just kind of time consuming driving back there if you lose it, but it's fine other than that. And yeah, it was fun. It was fun working on the guide. It was a bit stressful because it's like, oh, I don't want to miss one and then not know where it is, and then that's always a nightmare when you're even just playing for collectibles. And in terms of the game itself, I love Vice City's music and aesthetic and the missions, and I've done a bunch of side stuff, and I've been enjoying the main story. And it's kind of like the remaster here really sucks, but the original game is so good that I'm still having a great time. So I don't know how much you've seen or how much, listeners have seen about these remasters and sort of how bad they are, but there's great videos on like how like fucked up all the character models are, and then they've done this like AI upscaling stuff to a lot of the text on billboards and the sides of buildings, and it's totally messed up the text in some cases where there's just like spelling mistakes and typos where they weren't there before. So they've like whatever AI thing has just not done it properly. There's in Vice City, there's a swimming pool that's meant to look like the Rockstar logo, and that doesn't have enough points on the star anymore because they've like AI upscaled it. Like there's so much that's just lazy and terrible, and you wouldn't expect it, especially from, this was done by Grove Street Games, who did the mobile ports of these games before, which kind of makes sense, I guess, but you just wouldn't expect it from Rockstar or Take-Two because they're such a famous, critically acclaimed developer. It's like, why would you hurt your reputation like this? Why wouldn't you just take longer and, make sure it's right?
Yeah, this is absolutely heartbreaking. Like, I'm with you. San Andreas was a game on PS2 that I fell in love with, and it was one of the first. I think it was the first rated M game I ever played. I was pretty young, but my dad was like getting ready to take a nap, and he was really tired. And I went up to him and I was like, Dad, can I play GTA? And he was like, are you ready? And I was like, yeah. And he just is like, you can play it. And I was like, okay. And so I ran to my basement because at the time my PS2 was in the basement, and I played Grand Theft Auto San Andreas on PS2. And it's just so heartbreaking that this definitive edition is just like not that version. And then later on I got to borrow Vice City, and then I loved that one too. And it was so hard for me to choose, like, do I like Vice City more, or do I like Grand Theft Auto more, or San Andreas more, sorry. And I just was like really enjoying those games, and it just is such a bummer that they couldn't spend a little bit of their $1.2 million that they earn a day from GTA 5 online to make a better definitive edition of this game. Like, it is so fucking heartbreaking. I'm not gonna buy it. I'm like straight up just not gonna do it.
Yeah, it's troubling from the perspective of like, there's two reasons it sucks, I guess, like two big reasons. One is because Rockstar's own reputation for high quality is kind of taking a beating, because even though it's not made by them directly, they assisted on the project, and also, they're putting their name on it, of course, as well. People are playing it because it's a Rockstar game. They're not playing it because it's, from Grove Street Games, right? So it's a bad sign in terms of that studio to some extent, because it's like, why would you let this get out, and why would you do this to yourselves? Because their track record is pretty much impeccable. Like when I was growing up gaming, like, you know, it was Vice City and then San Andreas and then it was GTA 4 and Bully and Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead 2 and GTA 5. It's like the list goes on of like banger after banger after, like, it's like they didn't miss with anything. And so it's kind of like, how would you let this happen with your name and with your IP? And then going off of that, the second angle that sucks with it is that it's like, do they even care about the franchise as much as the fans or as much as the people like that love these games and that played these games? It's like that not only should your studio be doing better in terms of what you put out, it should also be a franchise that's so special to you. You know, three massive tentpole releases that got your studio to where it is today, you know, beloved by millions. It's like, why would you let that happen from that perspective as well? You know, not just from the sort of reputation perspective, but don't you love these games? Don't you care about these games? But yeah, it's ridiculous. And then to keep going with the stuff wrong with it, there's performance issues. Like you can do a performance mode, and on Series X and PS5, the frame rate drops all the time below 60. It like goes into the 40s for these games. It's like, how? It doesn't look amazing, and it's a really, really old game. And these consoles are like, you know, way powerful. They've got more than enough power to deal with this. I think that's why it can get kind of annoying when like with performance analysis stuff of like consoles and PCs, because it feels like so much comes down to optimization and what's going on the developer's end, because it's like, I mean, it's just absurd. Like how have they let the game release in such a, like, these are based on mobile ports that have been like moved to like Unreal Engine, and they can't get them running at like 60 on PS5, like what? Or like Series X or anything. It just doesn't make sense. And then even if you have the 30 FPS mode, which I've been using because it doesn't have the frame drops, it has bad frame pacing and still has stutters. So, you know, you can't win with any of the modes. And then perhaps the worst thing of all is the rain effect. And the rain effect is just hilariously bad. I don't want to say objectively, because, you know, it can't be, but to me it's worse than the original rain effects in the original games. Like, how do you make something that's just a downgrade on the original? Like, that's even more insulting, like, just completely. And the rain effect is basically, it's like a filter that is applied to the camera, I guess. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. It's something where if you look it up, you'll immediately know it's wrong. Like, just from looking at it, you know, and you can't even like fully explain why, but you just know it's wrong. And it's sort of like a filter applied to the camera, and it looks kind of disconnected to the rest of the world. And it's also so dense that it kind of makes your perspective opaque. Like, you can't see properly through it. So it's like really annoying, and it really looks bad, which is the worst combination. And then it will end up behind water, so the oceans and stuff. If it's raining, it will look like it's behind the ocean, which is just like this weird optical illusion effect. And then if you like go under a bridge, the rain will just come through the bridge. Like, it's like it's like it's a filter applied on the camera, so it just doesn't matter where you go, doesn't matter if you're sheltered, it will still be there until the rain stops. And then if you get in a plane and you angle yourself down, like down enough, or like enough of a weird angle, the rain stops in midair. So it's just like hovering in place because you match the pace of the rain. Or it can reverse backwards, like the rain can go up into the sky. It's just, everything about it is a disaster, and it's such like a simple thing. And so there's so much wrong with it, and there's videos I encourage people to watch. Digital Foundry have done a review of all the games. G-Man Lives has done a great video on, I think, Vice City, or the whole trilogy actually, and it's amazing. But despite that, it's still fun, and that's a real testament to how good the original game is, because there's a lot of other games where if this was how bad the remaster was, people would be like, I mean, a lot of people are with these, they're like, I'm not playing this at all. But, you know, they're very fortunate that these Grand Theft Auto games are so adored and were so amazing in their time that people will sort of put up with it. After that, I played some more Call of Duty Vanguard, and I only have two things to say because I think last time I went over the game pretty comprehensively. So the first is that the kill 10,000 zombies achievement is glitched for me and for some other people. I've definitely killed over 10,000 zombies and the achievement hasn't unlocked. And I've got every other achievement, so I'm just going to wait until Zombies gets like a new map, or like something pulls me back into the game, and then I'll give it a try again, and hopefully the game's had patches and it will just work. work, or whatever happened with the counter that has failed will eventually just sort of tick over and work. But it sucks because, I've got every other achievement in the game and that's the only one I don't have. And I've done the requirement for it, so that kind of sucks. I did a bunch of multiplayer stuff for the other achievements. And I've been playing, there's this mode, it's called Ship House 24/7, which is a shipment from Modern Warfare, and Das House, which is unique to this game. And they're both really small maps, and you just get them in rotation over and over again. And so I was using the combat shotgun that I fully leveled up and used that the whole time, and it's pretty overpowered at the moment. They need to nerf it. I think they already have nerfed it, but they need to nerf it again. But it's also really fun to use because I like when shotguns and weird weapons like machine guns are powerful, because I feel like it's quite rare in Call of Duty for that to be the case. I feel like usually it's like the assault rifles, the SMGs, and some of the secondaries are sort of ridiculously powerful, and then everything else kind of sucks. So it's nice to get some variety where the shotgun's actually really, really good, but it's definitely out of control. You just one-shot people from too far away, and when you have it fully kitted out, it's ridiculous. And then finally, Halo Infinite shadow dropped, at least the multiplayer. So it was at the Xbox 20th anniversary stream. It kind of leaked beforehand, but at the end of the stream, they said like, "Oh, you can download the game right now," and you couldn't on Xbox for like an hour or so, but you could on Steam, which is quite funny. Well, you could already have it downloaded on Xbox, but the patch that they pushed for the download wasn't available on time, which is a bit awkward. But so that kind of dulled it a little. But then afterwards, everyone was in, and it was still really, really awesome. And it was kind of crazy as well, because I think that there's been a lot of speculation. I want to talk about this for a second, but there was some speculation that, like, kind of memes in a way, that 343 and Microsoft noticed that people weren't very hot on Call of Duty, and also Battlefield has a lot of tech issues and problems that people are kind of angry at. So, one of like the theories and the memes is like they realized that those games are in a bad shape, and they were like, launch Halo now, like do it now, like take advantage of this situation where people are angry at these other games, so we can like get out a like polished multiplayer experience for people to jump into. And I don't think that's the case. What I assume happened, especially in terms of Battlefield, was that I think that they probably planned on releasing multiplayer now, like all along, or for a while at least. And EA sort of accidentally stumbled into this, because I don't know if you remember, Battlefield was going to launch last month. It was going to launch in October, and then they delayed it by 1 month. And so I get the feeling that when they delayed it, it was like, oh shit, because like when Microsoft or 343 planned it out, they're like, we'll do it, late November. And, Call of Duty came out like a week or two before. And so, that's fine. And Battlefield's a month ago, so that's fine. And they were like, and it'll be good, it'll be great. And so then Battlefield delay, and then it's like, oh shit, like now we're going to release Halo multiplayer right on top of when Battlefield launches. And also we have a co-marketing agreement with EA for Battlefield. Like, Xbox is the marketing partner for Battlefield, like how Sony is for Call of Duty. So it kind of was an awkward situation, I think, in that sense. And I remember at the time as well, when the rumors came out, people were like, oh, they won't do it because of that. So it's been interesting how that's all played out. But in terms of my opinions on the Halo Infinite multiplayer, I think it's fantastic. I think the core gameplay is so much fun. And I don't really want to say too much, because I talked about it extensively during the tech previews. And I said back then that if they essentially like transfer that stuff over to the main release, like they've already done it, is basically what I said. Like that's all they need to do, is do the same thing they did for those tech previews, do it for the main game, put in some more maps, put in some more modes, and then you're good. Like you've already done it. Just don't mess it up, basically. And they didn't mess it up. So everything I said back then is pretty much, what I think now. In terms of problems with the game, I'd say there's only 3 main playlists right now. There's a lot of game modes, but they're all sort of bundled together. Like all the big team battle stuff is in one playlist, all the ranked stuff is in one playlist, and then all the other stuff, all the like 4v4 quick play stuff is in another playlist. So it means that objective modes are like bundled with Slayer and stuff like that. And that's kind of annoying because, people don't like Oddball or Capture the Flag or whatever. And also some of the challenges for the Battle Pass require certain like maps and modes. And so it's quite annoying when you've got like all of the maps bundled into like 3 playlists. You can't like precisely pick out what you want to play very easily. I think that they're going to improve on this. I mean, I get the feeling it's kind of like that they want to like drip feed people more and more stuff, like every week or every couple of weeks they want to add stuff. I know COD does this as well. You know, it seems to be the way to sort of keep people coming back to your game now is to sort of have something new to give people every week or every couple of weeks, even if it's just like simple stuff, just to also get in the news cycle and stuff like that as well. So I hope that they have more playlist stuff coming. I know that next week they've got their first event, which is this. It's like this samurai themed event thing. Like there's this like Spartan samurai armor, and it's going to have its own like battle pass progression thing, and it's also going to have a new mode, maybe two new modes. So it does seem like they are on top of that in terms of the short term. It just like it matters what's coming after that. Like, do they have another thing coming and then another thing coming and then because they need to in this highly competitive environment of free to play multiplayer shooters. They need to have stuff coming in all the time. So that's kind of a worry, but that would be, you know, a worry no matter what, I think. In terms of the biggest complaint I've seen from the community, it's some of the cosmetics and the battle pass features. I think the problem is that you don't get enough in like the battle pass and in the free tracks as well. And you don't like rank up a Spartan level along with like if you could rank up your guy along with ranking up the battle pass, it would be good, but right now it's just the battle pass. And it feels like they don't want to get like because in Halo they don't want to go like full Fortnite in terms of they don't want to go or like yeah, they kind of want to be I guess around where like Apex is. I think would be ideal for them in terms of skins because they don't want to do like cross media properties or like ruin the lore or like ruin the universe of the game. They don't want to go like totally wacky out there with the cosmetics. And so that means that a lot of the stuff you unlock can feel a bit boring. And it's kind of like they're holding the good stuff behind like a paywall, which kind of makes sense to me because it's free to play. But I think some of the prices are a bit messed up. And I think for me, they should give more stuff for free to sort of keep you along for the ride. And then they should still put good stuff in the shop and lower the price a bit. I think they've almost got the balance right, but not quite. And then they also need to make the challenge system different. And they should, in terms of giving you more clearly defined and sort of easier to access challenge requirements. And then they should also give you a secondary leveling system, which just sort of gives you XP for like the medals you earn and the score that you get in the game. And then have that carry through to some other unlocks, like another unlock track would be good. That's probably what I would do. And I think 343 are already on the case in terms of they're already fixing the challenges and they've already said that they want to give you a Spartan level, like an XP level going up, but it couldn't make it for like the beta, you know, this like pre-launch sort of launch period.
That's literally what I was about to ask you is, so I watched the launch event of this or the shadow drop, and I was just curious, like, have they said, like, are they identifying this like shadow drop launch a beta, or is it just out?
Yeah, so they're calling it a beta.
Okay, they are.
Yeah, they're saying it's a beta, and they're saying like the full launch is on the 8th.
Yeah.
With the campaign. But
okay, so yeah, my friends have been calling it a beta, and I've been like, yeah, it seems like they rolled it out. And it's not like it's a buggy mess. It's just like they just have to fix some stuff. And that's totally like what betas are meant for. They're like,
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's kind of like a semi beta, I guess. Like if in terms of like this beta, it's not like in like in like a week they'll like close it off. Like this will roll into the full release of the game. Like it will literally just go into it, and it's feature complete in terms of it's got like all the weapons, it's got like all the maps and all that. Like it's got like it's basically like a complete version of the game as a beta, but they're like also like, oh, we're tweaking this stuff, and they do seem to be listening to the community, which is good. Like people, because I would say the attitude towards this game is overwhelmingly positive from what I've seen online and for how I feel about it. It's like I said about it on like a technical level, like it's really stable. There's not game-breaking glitches. The gameplay's fun. People love the maps. People love the weapons. People love how the weapons feel. You know, and these are like the core elements of your game that like if you mess it up, it's like really, really bad news. But if you've got it solid, you're in like a really, really good place. So I think that's where they're at, in my opinion, and from sort of the chatter I've seen online. People are just like, the monetization is kind of bad. The progression system is kind of bad at times. And I think that's something where they can tweak and fix it. I think they've got kind of a problem in that, they don't have co-op campaign at launch and they don't have Forge mode, so they've kind of got to work on those as well as all this other stuff. So I'm like, hopefully, that team is big enough to keep, working on multiple things at once and like getting stuff done and getting like regular content added. But in terms of like where they're at, it's like the stuff that they've got wrong and the stuff that people are unhappy about, I think is stuff that if you'd want people to be unhappy about anything, and I think, people are going to be unhappy about something, ultimately. It's hard to think of games where everyone's just been sort of happy with absolutely everything in the game. But if you're going to get something wrong, it's probably the best stuff that they got wrong, because it's like we can fix this, we can overhaul this, and sort of make slight tweaks to it. And they've already done that with some of the XP stuff. They've made it so, because people want an XP system and they don't want everything to be challenge based, what they've done is they've made it so you get a challenge that is just to play a game, and you get 50 XP for just playing a game. And then that challenge is like infinite. So it's like every time you play a game, you get that challenge completed and you get that XP. So they're already like, okay, we know people want like regular XP and for just playing. So they've sort of hotfixed that like already within a week. They're like, put that in. So they do seem to be responding really quickly and sort of trying to give people what they want. It's always going to be a difficult balance, because this is the first Halo game to go free to play in terms of multiplayer. So it's like they need to make cosmetics that people want to buy, and they also need to charge money for them. And I think that's fine. Like, some people are freaking out about some of the prices being a bit too high, and I kind of agree. But I think for the most part, I'm really glad it's just cosmetics only. For example, like if you got like new guns, or you got like a boost to damage or like reload speed, it would be like ruined. The game would be just done. So it's for me, I can never really get too mad about cosmetics, because Overwatch has done it, Call of Duty's done it, CS:GO has done it, Valorant has done it, Fortnite has done it, Apex has done it. Like every game does this at this point, and it's like it's just a thing that happens now. It's just unfortunate that there's not more customization stuff that you can do from the offset, I think, without sort of buying or progressing anything, because you do have sort of a limited range of colors and like customization options, whereas in previous Halo games, you had tons more from day one. But the other side of that is all the other Halo games were fully paid experiences where you had to buy them day one. So it's like, it's sort of like a different philosophy. But I think they just need to keep adding stuff, and they need to add some free stuff that's more interesting, and then they need to make it so there's two different progression tracks, which is kind of what Apex does, where you have XP for your character and then you have these challenges for the battle pass, and maybe do both of those in tandem or have them separately in some form. But in terms of the game itself, it's fantastic. I'm excited for the event next week. I don't know what to expect. Also, I wanted to say about this game that I think it's been really cool to see. I've seen a lot of clips from it, and I've seen a lot of people hyped up about it. And it's come, it was leaked, but it was still kind of a surprise for a lot of people. And a lot of people, when it did leak, they were like, I don't believe it. Like, it's not going to happen. And with everyone with a lot of people unhappy with recent releases, it's been cool to see people get like hyped for something, like excited for something in terms of a multiplayer experience. And I know and this is totally personal, everyone has a million different experiences and opinions, but last night in the LSM Discord, we had a Halo Infinite with the boys session, and it was a ton of fun. There were like 8 or 9 people in the party, and we played Big Team Battle. We played 12v12 online. We had like Herb, Edwin, Shane, Poot, Alexis, like tons of people showed up, and we were all in a party together. We were all talking. Even like Radek was there. Like everyone was there basically. And I know that we've got a Halo server set up now as well for this sort of coordination, and a bunch of people are in it, and a bunch of people are playing every day, and I'm there when I can be. I mean, I'm, UK time zone, so, a lot of the time I can't make it because it's too late at night for me. But it's just been a really good, like, community experience already. And it kind of makes me, I'm angry and upset, but kind of like in a good way, in a sense, like not in a good way. I don't know, in like a more like excitable way, because I really wish Forge mode was here. And I really wish co-op campaign was going to be there immediately, because it's like now I've played it, and now I've played it with a lot of people, and had such a great time, I'm like, I want more. Like, I really, really want these features to be there now, because it's like, I can just imagine the custom games people are going to make, the different playlists. Like, you used to get in Halo 3 custom games like Duck Hunt and Fat Man and stuff like so Duck Hunt was this mode where one guy would be the hunter basically, and he'd have a sniper rifle in a box, and then every other player would be the ducks, and you'd have to run across this obstacle course, and the hunter would have to try and kill everyone running across this obstacle course, and the people on the obstacle course would try and work together to sort of get to the hunter, basically get to the hunter's booth and kill him before he kills everyone running across the obstacle course. And people would make maps for that and game modes for that, and then they'd make this other one called Fat Man, where it's like this guy with like infinite health, but he like runs really slowly, would chase after you down again like another like obstacle course, and you'd have to like find a way to kill him or like get away from him before he kills everyone. And so there's these like destruction derby maps and stuff like that. Like there's just such a wide range of experiences people can make with the Forge mode that I'm like, God, like I really want it now, because I know how much fun Big Team Battle has been with a bunch of friends, that I'm like, this is it. Like this is a game that it's really taken me back, I don't know, like 10 years maybe, in terms of multiplayer experiences. And it's great to see people come together to play it. And I think being free to play helps with that as well. And yeah, it's been crazy. Alexis in the LSM server, I think he started playing on PC, and then he went out and bought a Series X because he was having like a good time with people. Like, it's just great. It's great to see that kind of stuff where a game can come out and surprise people and bring people together. And it hit me on a personal level. But that's not to say like this game specifically is special, because tons of people will have that experience with COD, with Battlefield, with Fortnite, with anything else, right? But for me, and for the people I talk to and hang out with, Halo Infinite has already been that game, and that's just awesome.
This is just huge for Halo in general. Like, we were talking about, like, Halo Infinite cannot come out and suck. Like, it just can't, because, like, obviously I haven't played 4 and 5, but from the general consensus is that Halo is on a decline. It hasn't been great since Reach or ODST or 3. Some people will argue it all depends on who you are, but the general consensus is 4 and 5 were not good, and Halo Infinite has to be good, because you can't just have 4 or 5 and then Infinite be bad. And this is just huge. This is huge for Halo, and it's so cool to hear the Last Stand Media crew like playing together. I didn't even know that was happening. I was busy last night, but I mean, like, it just goes to show how incredible some of these multiplayer games can be, and how quickly. I wonder how much staying power it will have, because, like you said, Halo has a lot of nostalgia like tied to it, and it's because it's such a great game, and like they created, arguably from some people, like with Halo 3's multiplayer, one of the greatest games of all time. And to hear that like people are really enjoying Halo Infinite despite having some of the not technical issues, but just design kind of, or the stuff that you talked about. Just some of those issues just don't matter. Not whenever the game is this good. You know what I mean?
We talked about earlier, I said, like, I don't think anyone considers Halo 4 or Halo 5 their favorite Halo, whereas with all the others, it's a toss-up. And Halo 4 was when 343, took over the series. So for them, I will say Halo Wars 2 is considered a great game, and that's been like under 343's tenure. They're not fully responsible for that game, but they are in part. And so for them, it's kind of like people lost faith in the franchise and in the studios specifically. And so Halo Infinite being a return to form, like, it definitely is, like, at this point. I mean, it's too early to like fully celebrate, obviously, because the campaign isn't out yet. But in terms of the multiplayer, it's like, everyone's happy. I've joked before that, like, with the multiplayer this good, like, it would be the typical 343 curse that now the campaign is going to be like the worst thing you've ever played. Like, it's going to be so bad that it's going to like undo everything that the multiplayer does. Like, because if the campaign is like at least decent, like, they've done it. They've made a great Halo game at that point. And so it it's crazy to see, and it has been what feels like so long. You know, it was 6 years since Halo 5 even. You know, it came out in 2015. So yeah, it's a weird time. It's a crazy thing to see. You said some other stuff about like bringing people together and stuff like that. And yeah, and in terms of the longevity of the game, I mean, a lot of people on my friends list are playing this game, and I don't expect it to stay at the level it's at, but I mentioned earlier that they should make sure that they've got more playlists ready to go, that they've got more events ready to go. Like, I was kind of worried initially, although they've done better than I've expected, because like we've said, they've said this is a beta, so I thought, maybe that means for the first couple of weeks they're not going to add anything else, because it's like, oh well, it's a beta, the game's not out yet, right? So it would almost give them more time to sort of stall, to like make more content and like get more stuff ready. But the fact that next week they're doing an in-game event already, it's like, hopefully that means they've got a roadmap where it's like, you know, bang, 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 like every week or couple of weeks they've got like something coming to the game, because I think that you do need that nowadays. And I think, again, it's like really unfortunate that Forge isn't there. I've heard that Forge is incredibly ambitious. I checked out Halo 5's Forge, and as like a game making tool, it's really impressive and crazy what you can do. There's some videos and stuff of what people can make in the new Forge. It's like, it's almost like on like, you know how like in Minecraft you can like make like redstone circuitry and stuff like that? Like it's getting to like that level of customization where like people can make just absolutely crazy shit. Like it's almost, you're like bordering on like Dreams level of customization. So if they're trying to make Halo Infinite's Forge live up to that, then I get why it would take so long to make, because it's not just like, oh, you can just place the assets around in a map or whatever. Like it's not, it's way more than that now. So that, when that comes out, that should help boost the game enormously. But again, it's like, will it be too late when it comes out? And we don't know until we know what 343's plans are for the game, because the gameplay loop is so satisfying, but people will want new stuff all the time, because there's, you know, when we started the show, we talked about the sales, right? And I'm like, these games look amazing. I've heard these games are great. I want to play these games, but there's just so many games, and there's just so much entertainment competing for our attention and our time. And so it's like that, you know, it's not like a slight on the studio or the game. The game's fantastic, but it's like, you just, now it's just more competitive than ever, and you just need to keep giving people more.
That's right. And the thing is, like, I want to have at least one night where I join the Last Stand Media playlist of Halo, but the thing is, like, I don't want to do it until after Halo Infinite comes out and I beat it, and then that would be post the Game Awards. So like, that's a good time for me, because like I said, I want to complete at least 2 more games on the nominee list before the Game Awards, which is December 9th. So like you said, when there's other things competing for your time, it's really, really difficult to just stay integrated into that. And I'm afraid, like, by that time, after December 9th, that everyone will fall off. And I just hope that doesn't happen. And I'm sure not everyone will fall off, but like, I hope that we can get a Last Stand Media thing together for that night. And maybe I can convince Addie to join just for a night or two, for 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that, where it doesn't take up all of the gaming time, but it's like, at least we can have a memory there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also it's something where like, it's really, really hard as well to stay at the top, essentially, in terms of games being played. I know Halo Infinite, it's been about 4th on the Steam charts. I mean, I'm sure it's like, I've not looked at the Xbox charts, but it's kind of self-explanatory where that would be on there. Like, you'd expect it to be trading places with Forza Horizon right now in terms of 1 and 2, for obvious reasons. But in terms of Steam, it's, you know, it's looking very successful with how it is now, but it's going to drop off to some extent. Like everything does. You can't stay there forever unless you're, you know, Counter-Strike or whatever, where you know, the game comes out in like 2013 or 2012 or something, and it just gets more and more popular somehow. But, you know, games like that are just so uncommon, and you can't control that kind of thing. So, yeah, I expect it to fall off, but I don't expect it to, or I hope it doesn't fall off to a level where, you know, the worry is, you know, the sort of dead game meme, where the game sort of goes into like a death spiral, where there's so few people playing that it means it's not worth having a big dedicated development team on it still. So then the content updates get less frequent, and then that means more people stop playing, and then that means the team that's on the game gets smaller, and then that means less content updates, and then that means people stop
No
playing, and
way that
then
happens.
and so on, right, over and over again until no one's playing. So that's I guess the worry for any online game, but it's exciting to see how it's going to play out, because it's the first time Halo has been free to play, as we mentioned. So there's no kind of benchmark for this game. There's no thing to compare it to in terms of its performance and how it's doing and how 343 and Xbox should treat it, because it's uncharted territory for them. So it's quite cool to sort of monitor the situation in that sense as well.
And is that the last thing you played?
Yeah, that's everything.
Wow. Damn, dude. Gaming so much. And it's so weird because, like, really, it's like the end of the semester for me. So this week is like empty. It's Thanksgiving in the States, and we don't really have school, but it doesn't mean that I don't have shit to do. And so I have like 2 homework assignments left, and then I have 4 tests left. I have 2 finals and 2 pre-final exams. And that like totally reduces game time, but I still was able to finish 3 Halo games, which I found fucking awesome. And then once that break hits, dude, oh god, man, it's gonna be so nice having like legit days off where I don't have to do anything. I'm gonna get so much more gaming done. And we are gonna talk about the topic on the show, which the topic on the table is this lack of interest in hunting on various platforms that I've encountered. But the completionist in me is still doing it. I'm still doing it, dude. When I pop an achievement during Halo, I look at that shit. I look at the rarity. I look at what it was. I'm like, what else can I get? Every single game that has collectibles, and every time I find a collectible in Halo, I'm like looking. Because after the first terminal, I was like, oh, there's collectibles that give achievements. I'm going to be looking. I'm going to be looking for them because it's something that I like to do. But the thing is, I don't ever see myself completing any Halo game. I just like the chase and like the hunting, but it's specifically Xbox, nothing else. Like I've chased on Steam for the BioShock games. I have not chased on Epic, but I'm a huge platinum hunter, but it's because it doesn't have the end reward that I want. It doesn't have the one master achievement. And they need it so fucking badly, because if Xbox had it, I'm telling you right now, I would not get River City Girls on PlayStation. I would just get the one completion on Xbox, and then I would be able to look at all the platforms, look at every single platform, because Steam has a thing called perfect games. That's a top achievement. When you get them all the achievements, it's a perfect game. And then you have this many perfect games, right? You have 10 perfect games. And then you have Epic now, who has another platinum reward, but it's literally PlayStation and Xbox combined, where you get between 5 and 45 points for a bronze trophy or achievement. And then I think they call them achievements, but they're labeled as bronze and silver and gold and platinum. When you get the top thing on Epic Games, it's a 1,000 point platinum. That's what it is. It's so weird, but Steam has, like I said, so Epic has that. They have a platinum. PlayStation has a platinum. Steam has perfect games. Xbox has 1,000 score, which 1,000 score tells me nothing when you have 300,000, and that's not 300 games. That's not 300 games. It's just a number. And I want them to have the one thing so that I could look at all the platforms and be like, I have completed in my life this many games. And I think that you said the tracking, like on the website, it tracks the games, right? When you have 1,000 out of 1,000, it has like a number on true achievements.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So that's nice, but Xbox doesn't have it. Yeah. And that's what like bothers me. And
yeah, I mean the ecosystems are I mean like I don't know if you want me to then say everything that annoys me about PlayStation's trophy system.
Yeah, see, it feels like I'm dunking on Xbox, but I'm not. It's just the one thing that's preventing my completionist from being a completionist. Like I would do it if it had that. And it's so disappointing. And it's not something that I'm not looking for you to dunk on PlayStation, but I definitely want you to maybe talk about why you're not hunting on various platforms, or if you do hunt on various platforms.
Yeah, it explains, the reasoning behind it, and I think a lot of it is like for achievement hunting and trophy hunting is dumb. Is the first thing to say in terms of
absolutely.
In terms of that, it's just about like that dopamine hit in your brain that you get when you get it. Yeah. So there's no like exact science to it, right? Like it's kind of arbitrary, but it's also really cool at the same time. So I think for me, I'm at a 570,000 gamer score now, like exactly, and I quite like that. So something I like about the numbers, I guess, is I like when you get like a nice like a 100,000. Like to me, like a 100,000 gamer score looks cooler than 100 platinums. But again, it's arbitrary, right? Because tons of people who would agree with that, tons of people would disagree with that. It's just like whatever, right? And then I think the thing I also like about the number system is that it gets you like better like differentiation between the value of each achievement on like a more granular scale than like gold, silver, bronze, if that makes sense. Like, because something that used to annoy me when I got trophies is some bronze trophies are like really, really hard and really stupid. And then some bronze trophies are like, start the game and it's a bronze trophy. And I'm glad they have a rarity thing to account for that, but Xbox also has that. But I prefer like the idea of like, hey, this is like a bronze trophy equivalent, but it's worth 5 gamer score. Whereas this bronze trophy that's actually quite difficult is worth 20 gamer score. If that makes sense. Like, I quite like that interplay between the achievements in the list versus the trophies with each other in a list, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it absolutely makes sense. That bronze argument is literally the foundation of a lot of videos on YouTube, where it's like the hardest bronze trophies in the ecosystem, the worst bronze trophies that you can earn. And like people make fun videos about them because they are not balanced, like you said. But that is a really good point on what Xbox does well. Is I beat a couple missions on, or I beat all the missions, obviously, and every single time I beat a mission, it's a normal ass like 5 or 10 points on Xbox, because I mean it's what people do when they beat campaigns, and it's not rare. It's not rare because that's what people do. It's an automatic given. And then whenever I find the terminals, which not everyone does, it's rare. And that is really, really cool and really satisfying, which I'm always looking for the rare achievements. Like that's what I found myself doing during Halo.
Yeah,
I'll look at the
and
list
then as well, right? Like you'll have achievements where like you like beat a mission might be 5 gamer score, but then like I don't know, kill 2 enemies with 1 bullet might be 25 or something. Whereas on like PlayStation, those might both end up falling into sort of the bronze window, if that makes sense, like the bronze range of trophies. Whereas on
absolutely.
Xbox, you get this like differentiated amount that sort of makes you feel better about what you've accomplished. So I quite like that. I mean, I like on Xbox that you get this gamer score leaderboard for each month as well. I think that's really cool.
I had a question. How do you know? Have you ever seen an achievement go from rare to like not rare? And like, where's the line?
Yeah, I have. I see it a lot when I get games early. So I played, Life is Strange, True Colors, and Far Cry 6. Thanks to Ubisoft and Square Enix for sending me, copies of those games early. And so when I play those, like every achievement I get is basically rare. And then when they come out, obviously, beating the first mission doesn't, goes away from being rare. So I've seen it happen. I see it happen a ton in that specific scenario. In others, it'll be like, again, it's usually close to launch, like it's usually launch night or whatever. Everything's rare, and then, but there's some times where like I can't think of specific examples, but if like a mainstream like exploit comes out for an achievement or something, it might go from being rare to common. But I don't know. I mean, I quite like from the rare perspective. I love how when it comes up, it makes the noise and it has the diamond, and then also it shows you the exact percentage. Like you can get like a rare achievement that's like 3% or something, and then you might get like a rare achievement that's like 0.08%, and you're like, holy shit, like you're like, wow, that's fucking awesome. Like I like that feature, although I will say it's kind of dulled to me because those percentages are often wrong. They're usually skewed upwards, but it depends. That I won't go into it because it depends on the game, and it's awkward to sort of try and find out. You kind of have to estimate it, but sometimes those percentages are off and incorrect. But yeah, in terms of, I like the platinum system. I definitely agree with you on like essentially the main point, which is that Xbox should have a platinum system because they've got rare achievements, they've got percentage rates for all of them, they've got achievement leaderboards as well for each month where you can see how you placed compared to your friends and what your friends have been getting. I think all that's really cool. So the missing piece really is a platinum of some sort, or just a way of like sorting by completion or something. I think Jason Ronald was on the Iron Lords podcast, and he was asked about this. I think I haven't listened to the episode, so I don't know exactly, but apparently he was asked about achievements because at the Xbox 20th event, the backwards compatible team, they've made 70 more games backwards compatible, and then they said that's the end of the backwards compatible games because of licensing issues and technical issues. They basically don't think they can get any more, which is sad, but they gave it a good go, right? And 70 is like a big amount to leave it on. So then a lot of people are asking Jason Ronald, like, what are you guys doing next? Like, is Microsoft going to disband this backwards compatible team? Because, because the way it works is Xbox has a team, with Jason Ronald, who's also on the hardware, and some other people, where they for years now have just been getting backwards compatible games working and like renegotiating the license, like talking to the publishers and saying like, hey, is it okay if we do this? Can we give it like an FPS boost? Can we do this? Can we do that? Are you okay with that? And then them testing it out and playing through all of the games and checking that it works and it doesn't break or whatever, or the engine doesn't mess up. So they've been doing that for years now, since I think like 2015 or so. And so it's like, well, what are you guys doing next? And one of the things they're doing is FPS boost stuff. And I think they're also going to be looking at achievements. And they're also going to be looking at the Xbox DVR stuff, the like recording stuff, and trying to add more features to that. So I think what those backwards compatibility guys are doing now is they're going to move on to those two aspects, which is quite exciting because it's like hopefully they can do some cool stuff there. But in terms of PlayStation and the way I treat trophy hunting, I used to really like it when I had my PS3. I remember Bionic Commando. I was like going for everything in that game, in the like Bionic Commando like remake, or not remake, a reboot, I guess. And yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy the noise it makes. I went back and got some of the Heavy Rain ones because I know we've sort of shared the pain on that. I never got the platinum. I was like, fuck this at some point, but I did it for a bit because I really liked the game and I was into trophies, but I've never felt like I need it. I like what Steam does, where Steam, you can get this list where it will like rank every achievement in the game based on like the unlock percentage. And I think that's quite cool because it almost takes away the developer rarity, because as we've said, like sometimes like and this applies to the gamer score as well, like the gamer score ratings and the rarity in terms of, gold, silver, bronze, sometimes that's just like all out of whack. Like sometimes you just get like a gold trophy or like 100 gamer score achievement that's like really, really absurdly easy and not like you get it like right at the start of the game or something. So the way Steam does it, where they have like this like rarity thing going down, I think that's quite a cool way to order it in terms of the list when you see it presented.
There are some games on PlayStation where it's just gold and silver's trophies. That's the whole list. It's all gold and silver, which is tremendously boosting to your level and to your completion percentage because they're worth so much more experience. I'm sure Xbox has some of those where it's like 100 gamer score for every single.
Yeah, a game will have like 10 achievements and they're all like 100 gamer score. Yeah, so I quite like Steam in that sense because it kind of takes the control away from like the developer in a way and gives it to the community, in that it's like no, these are the achievements that the people playing the game find easy and find hard, and that's quite cool to look at a glance because you can, when you get a list on, I don't know if you've had the same situation, but when you get a list on Xbox or PlayStation, you look down the list, but you have to read every single achievement to know, to sort of get an idea for which ones are going to be the nightmare ones. And you can have a look at the rarity, and that really helps, definitely. But in terms of Steam, it's quite cool because you can just scroll to the bottom of the list immediately, and you're like, oh, this one's unlocked by like 0.27%, and it's to get 101% completion in the game or whatever. And it's like, okay, so that's the platinum equivalent, and that's the rarest. And then above that, it's like, defeat every boss without being hit or whatever, and it's like, okay, so you sort of know like immediately as soon as you open the list, you're like, I know where the nightmare ones are and where the easy ones are. Whereas on Xbox and PlayStation, you kind of have to read the entire list sometimes to even know what you're up against.
Very true, and I have done that a couple times for the Halo games, but like I said, man, it's just that one complaint, really. Honestly, I love the diamond look. Jeez, dude, when you get the rare achievement, I love the diamond that comes up and I love the sound. I'm like searching for achievements and trying to attempt them because I find it fun, just the meta game. Even if I'm not going to chase the whole thing, I like my completion percentage, and it's going to be destroyed on Xbox because I haven't been completing any games and I've been like playing for just a little bit and like popping 1 or 2 achievements. And it just bums me out that they don't have something better, but I do understand where you're coming from, where the numbers do look nice. I'm not going to deny that, but some people, and this is true, some people get denied that pleasure because they have like a 101,000 gamer score, 100,001 gamer score. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have a 1 or a 2 or a 3.
Oh, That'd
Yeah,
be so disappointing.
the games that do that are fucked up. What annoys me is the recent Quake remaster has that problem. It has like a 90. It has like a bunch of like 96 gamer score achievements, and it's like, haven't we moved past this? There's like so many games that do it, and it's like that is so bad because it will stop you from playing a game sometimes. And yeah, you'd never get the equivalent of that on PlayStation. So that's a benefit to them doing like the gold, silver, bronze type thing, because it's not like you can get like a bronze and a half or whatever. Like, so yeah, to be fair, that's an advantage of that system for sure. And yeah, I think if you just had a way to like have like on my profile right now in the top left corner, it like tells me how much gamer score I had. If it just next to that has like a little, I mean, they can even like steal like the trophy symbol or whatever. They could just have like a little trophy next to it and have a
Yeah.
number that is just your amount of completions, and then just have both of them next to each other, and then that's it. That's basically all they
Yes.
need.
Oh my god, that would just, dude, I would be hunting so hard on Xbox. No joke. Like just that one small little easy thing. It just makes it easier because like if I was on camera right now, I'd show you. But I have like a journal that I fill out, and I know my handwriting looks like a serial killer. But I mean, like I love to fill it out, and I love to know how many games I have, and like go to websites, and like I would be writing down PlayStation this many, Xbox this many, like all of them. But it doesn't show on the system. I'd have to go outside of the system, and I'm like, oh, that's so annoying. But I did want to say this, and I actually have a question specifically for the achievements, but I don't think that it will have this because we just talked about the 96s and the things like that. But something that I do love about trophies and having even though they're not balanced, but like the bronze, silver, gold, is the really cool part is when you look at your trophy profile, it's going to say you have 214 platinums, 978 golds, and then I have 2,393 silver and 7,901 bronze. And so that is like the specific level of achievements that I have in those specific categories. And I don't know if it has one on Xbox where it's like you have this many 10 gamer score points, you have this many like 50 or 100, like
Yeah,
does it have that?
no, but what I like about, and this is something on True Achievements, is that they can rank your gamer score based on like the rarity of each achievement, and then also like the ratio, which is like the gamer score value multiplied by the rarity value, essentially. So it's like both what like the devs think is going to be a high earning achievement and what the community ends up being a high earning achievement, and you can group your unlocks by those metrics, and that's probably my favorite in terms of looking at like what my rarest achievements are. Because yeah, the problem would be like, we've said about, some games on PlayStation have just silver and gold, and then some games on Xbox they might just have five. Some games have like 5 achievements and they're all 200 gamer score each. And so if you like ordered by like gamer score like amount per achievement, you'd get a bunch of like indie like shovelware, like play this game for 5 minutes and get every achievement type games, like rather than the actual sort of hard games, if that makes sense. So yeah, I wish there was more sorting tools though on Xbox specifically, because I use True Achievements all the time and True Achievements is fantastic, but they should just move some of those features over to Xbox. I mean, I'm sure the True Achievements community would be receptive to that. I know True Achievements even have a native app on Xbox. So it's like clearly the two are kind of aware of each other and, communicating to some extent. So if they could just move some of those community features from TA over to Xbox itself, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, even I support that. That's fucking cool. And also, later this week, I definitely want to like download True Achievement app on Xbox. That sounds fucking cool. I love that. That sounds so dope. So I'm probably gonna do that. But I think that's gonna be it for this conversation. I really was glad to like pick your thoughts on that because it's something that I've been thinking about all week, and I hate it, because like I took pride, like I said, I know people were joking, but they were calling me an Xbot, and it was awesome. Like I love that because I just love to play video games. I love games all over the place. I don't care where they are, and I will achievement hunt. That is something that I have been actively doing as I look for terminals and stuff. But like it just hurts me that I can't see like a completion number. And if Xbox fixes that, I'm gonna go harder on Xbox and Game Pass, because then I can jump into things and be like, I completed that, and this is my fourth completion. It just, that is another thing, is like ecosystem libraries. Like I'm on PlayStation because I have like 273 games tied to my account, like it's hard to go over to Xbox whenever my whole entire library is built on one ecosystem. I would love it if all of them ran across each other. Like it would be kind of messy if Steam and Xbox and PlayStation all ran in the same location.
Yeah, I mean they never want to do, because that like stickiness is what keeps you there, right? I mean
Right,
Apple has
absolutely.
perfected that for like phones as well, in terms of like all their apps and everything, all their software that just ties into their own iPhone and Mac ecosystem. Yeah, it's hard to break away from that stuff. I mean, the truth is as well that PlayStation and the Xbox, they're more similar than they are dissimilar, right? Like they like
Right.
95% of the library is exactly the same between the two
Yeah.
consoles, and the Series X and the PS5 are basically as powerful as each other in terms of how they're going to run those games, is going to be basically just as good. And then, there's differentiation in terms of, Game Pass and DualSense and all of that stuff, right? But, and the exclusive games, of course. But in terms of, like, there's no reason for like tribalism, because it's just like they're mostly the same. Like you get in
Right.
pretty much the same experience most of the time.
Dude, and there's something that I want to mention, and I don't mean to cause an explosion, but I think I really enjoy exclusives, both sides, because I think that and I don't know very much about developing video games or anything like that, but I think that when you are developing for one thing only, I think that it eliminates a ton of distractions, and you just have to focus on the one thing that you are creating for, right? You just create for PlayStation, you just create for Xbox, and it makes those games focused and using the priority tech that they have, whether that's the controller or like certain features the games have. Like they're focused on what they have, and it makes the games that much better because it is focused. And that goes for, like I said, both sides. And I really do like that exclusive nature, and that's why I have both boxes, because when that happens, I really fucking enjoy those games. And I don't think it takes away to like develop games for both, but I just think that the focus I just enjoy a lot more. And I'm not trying to be tribalistic or anything like that. It just is something that I felt whenever I play these games, like Ratchet and Clank, and it's focused on PlayStation, and Halo is focused on Xbox. It feels like those games are just so integrated into their systems. And the other games, like Ubisoft games, they're just top level. They're not great. They're not great because they're just top level. They're not deep on each system. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you mostly. I think there's some third-party games that like will give, other like first-party games a run for their money, but I think in terms of what you say about it like being made for the system, it's true. Like especially when you're like a first-party developer, like all they have to worry about is getting like as effective and like, modifying the engines that they use, or just the focusing on the GDK in terms of for one platform, essentially for one ecosystem. And that, gives them, it makes them become like experts of their craft in sort of a specific way. And I think, in terms of Xbox, there's more systems that they're making games for, because, their games are day and date on PC. But that in itself, in terms of like crossplay and in terms of like xCloud and stuff like that, like it offers its own challenges that aren't necessarily seen on PlayStation, and its own drawbacks, but it also offers its own advantages, because it's like, stuff with like Game Pass and with like PC crossplay and with like the cloud stuff. It's like, that it's going to be there day one, and it's going to be working there day one. And so it's like the ease of access is almost used in that sense. But then as well, yeah, with how it will integrate achievements and like clubs and like a bunch of, cross save, cross progression, and how it will use the hardware. Stuff like how like, you look at like loading time comparisons and everything, and it's like it's so crazy what first parties can do with this stuff. So yeah, I think that's great to see as well. It's basically all great is I think our conclusion, essentially, that the differences are good, the similarities are good.
Absolutely. Well, that concludes the show. Let's talk about our trophy and achievement. Did you get an achievement of the week this week? Awesome. I did too. I actually chose one for whenever I go back to PlayStation, and I saw this and I thought it was very funny. Let me find it. It's right here. My trophy is called Math is Hard, and it's reach rank 101 in Psychonauts. And I know that some games, they have just like 1 or 2 levels, sometimes 3 above 100, and it's just like, why not 100? And so I thought that the Math is Hard trophy, it's a gold trophy for Psychonauts 1 was pretty funny, and I was like, I'm actually looking forward. I think that whenever I pop achievements in this, or trophies and achievements in this game, it's gonna make me laugh sometimes, and I'm really excited to play that.
Yeah, that's a great choice. I mean, a lot of Double Fine games are really self-aware and good with their lists and all of that stuff, and sort of poke fun in a meta way. My achievement of the week has to be the Party Bus achievement, which is to get a Mount Up medal in a Razorback in a match-made game, and it's in Halo Infinite. So that's what's also cool about. I can't believe I forgot to mention it, but in terms of Halo Infinite, as soon as the beta went live, all the achievements went live as well. And it's 1,600 gamer score. And I think 500 or 600 is for multiplayer, and then 1,000 is for the campaign. And so you already know what the campaign achievements are. And then also you've got like all these multiplayer achievements to get through as well, which it kind of sucks that, it's like multiplayer achievements, they're annoying. They're not too bad in this case. And also I quite like how you have like 1,000 isolated for the campaign as well. But in terms of this achievement, I had to choose it because of, the Halo Infinite with the boys, because a Razorback is a Warthog with 4 seats instead of 3. It doesn't have a turret, it just has 2 seats instead in the back. So to get a Mount Up medal, you have to get in one as the driver, and then use the horn, and then get up to full capacity, so get 4 people in, or 3 other people in. So I was, driving a Razorback. I used the horn. A bunch of my friends got in the Warthog. I got my achievement. It was really, really rare, and I'm happy about it. And then someone else, Herb, wanted to get the achievement as well. And he went for the achievement, and just as the 4th person was about to get in the Warthog, someone sniped him out of the driver's seat. Like, specifically him, which is great. Like, they missed everyone else, but him. He got sniped out of the seat and died just as the 4th person was getting in. And so the achievement didn't pop for him. And then I think he might already have the achievement. He mentioned that like he isn't sure and forgotten. So maybe he has it, maybe he'll never get it, but it was just a great moment. So that's
hilarious. I didn't know Herb was going to go for some achievements. That's fun.
Yeah, he's been doing the challenges for the battle pass as well. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people we talk about where it's like for them like achievements and trophy hunting, and this is true for me in terms of like when I go to a different platform. If I like really really love the game, I'll want to get the completion for it on whatever platform it's on. I think just because I don't want to stop playing the game, essentially. Like you want to get absolutely everything done and everything you can do in the game. And so I think Halo Infinite, for him, it's like a special game.
I totally know what you mean and where you're coming from with that, but I am going against that grain with River City Girls just because it's just a little arcade game that's kind of fun on the side. It's not like something like I'm so in love with this game, I can't stop playing it. It's not one of those. It's just something that in my heart, like I love the side-scrolling beat 'em ups, and I love that it's like pixel art, and I would love to have it on the PlayStation platform, but I'm gonna wait, like I said, for sales and things like that. It's not even that expensive, but it's something that I play between loading or updates and stuff on Xbox. I haven't played that game from beginning to end in one sitting, but if I did get it on PlayStation, I would. It's just something on the side. But yeah, I'm with you in the fact that if I love the game, I'm gonna 100% it on that platform. And it just hurts me that Xbox doesn't have those top achievements. But that's it for the show, dude. Let's end it. That was fun. Happy hunting, and thanks for listening.
See ya.
Peace. Thank you so much for listening to Complete Edition. If you like the content, consider supporting us on patreon.com/completionclub. If you have any questions or would like to reach us, email completionclub@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to Complete Edition.